Have you ever driven through a town and immediately realized that you've entered a place where crime, decay, and despair cling to every corner? A town where businesses are closed, the air feels heavier, and the locals look at you as if they know something you don't. These are the towns that need warning labels. Today, we're going to count down 10 such towns. Stick around because some of these places are worse than you think. Number 10. Barstow, California. Imagine this. You're driving on the highway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, eagerly anticipating the bright lights ahead. Suddenly, your gas tank runs dry, and you pull off at a small dusty exit called Barstow, California. Immediately, the heat hits you like opening an oven door. The blinding sunlight beats down on cracked sidewalks, and tumbleweeds lazily roll across the road as if they're the only things still moving around here. Once a major stop on historic Route 66, Barstow is now little more than a collection of gas stations, truck stops, and fast food chains that survive on the wallets of passing travelers. Surprisingly, some people actually live here. Barstow lies deep in the Mojave Desert where summer temperatures often climb above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat is not only uncomfortable, it's suffocating. Step outside in July, and you'll feel like an oven door opening right into your face. Not only that, water is scarce, and according to the California State Water Resources Board, Barstow has struggled with high levels of perchlorate pollution, a chemical found in rocket fuel that can affect thyroid function. And then there's the crime. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report, the violent crime rate in Barstow is 194% higher than the national average, with concerning rates of theft, assault, and even murder despite the town's relatively small population of around 25,000. For many people, moving here may initially seem like a cost-saving measure. The average home price is about $267,000, much cheaper than Los Angeles or San Francisco. But when you factor in the high crime rate, extreme temperatures, and limited healthcare options, that affordability comes at a steep price. Even worse, Barstow is not only geographically isolated but also feels isolated socially. Apart from a Walmart supercenter, a few fast food outlets, and a couple of small diners scattered about, the town doesn't offer much beyond the truck stop lifestyle. For anyone considering retirement, that's a major red flag. Access to quality healthcare is crucial, but the nearest full-service hospital is an hour away in Victorville. If you think Barstow is bad, the next town on our list is even worse. Number 9. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. If you're searching for a place where the American dream seems to have completely shattered, Pine Bluff, Arkansas is that place. Once a thriving agricultural hub, this small town has become a shell of its former self. Once the pride of cotton fields and railroads, Pine Bluff is now just a collection of abandoned buildings with businesses that were once bustling now left to rot. Pine Bluff's struggle doesn't stop at abandoned buildings. This town is a dangerous mix of crime and environmental hazards where even the air and water are threats. Pine Bluff is home to one of the largest toxic waste dumps in the United States. For decades, the town has faced pollution affecting its land, water, and air. The locals know this and it's part of their everyday reality. If crime doesn't kill you, the chemicals will, one resident says. What about crime? Pine Bluff is ranked as one of the places with the highest crime rates in the country, especially violent crime. The violent crime rate is 34 to 40% higher than the national average, and property crime is rampant, making rebuilding even more difficult. Now, imagine driving through Pine Bluff, passing row after row of boarded-up houses. You can't help but wonder what happened to all the people, what happened to the dreams that built this place. This town was once full of hope and hustle, but now it feels like a graveyard of forgotten opportunities. So, if you're a retiree on a fixed budget, Pine Bluff might seem appealing at first glance with average home prices under $100,000. It looks like a bargain compared to larger cities. However, when you factor in health risks, crime, and the lack of any real opportunities, the question remains: is this really where you want to spend your retirement? Number 8. Gallup, New Mexico. Imagine you're driving through New Mexico, where the landscape is adorned with breathtaking desert views, towering red rock formations, and vast open spaces that make you feel like you're on top of the world. The horizon stretches endlessly. Everything is expansive and incredibly beautiful. But as you reach Gallup, New Mexico, you'll quickly realize there's a stark irony etched into this place. This town is rich in history, a place that preserves the vibrant traditions, arts, and cultures of Native American communities. The annual Gallup Intertribal Indian Ceremonial Festival draws large crowds with stunning dance performances, music, and sacred rituals showcasing the strength of the Native American community. However, for the other 364 days of the year, Gallup resembles a deserted stage. Tumbleweeds roll across empty streets, and the occasional flickering neon sign in the window of a pawnshop signals that the town is barely hanging on. But it's not just the physical emptiness that unsettles you, it's also the overwhelming sense of despair. The town's economy is built around bustling streets filled with pawn shops offering jewelry that's supposedly heirloom quality, alongside payday loan offices where locals desperately sell their belongings just to survive. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Gallup's poverty rate is over 30%, much higher than the national average. Ironically, while tourists leave Gallup with cheap jewelry, those who have lived here for generations struggle to afford basic necessities. Alcoholism is another major issue, as New Mexico has one of the highest alcohol death rates in the United States. Sadly, Gallup is no exception. The town has gained a reputation for its high alcoholism rate, adding further strain to the local economy and community well-being. Now imagine you decide to retire somewhere with a low cost of living to stretch your savings. At first glance, Gallup seems appealing, especially with housing prices that hover around $244,000. But what do you get for that price? Limited services, minimal job opportunities, a town where the air is thick with dreams that never come true. This is a place where real opportunities are as rare as rainfall, and while the cost of living is lower, the quality of life is not. Number 7. Camden, New Jersey. Camden, New Jersey, lies just across the river from Philadelphia, but when you step into Camden, it feels like entering a completely different world. This small city was once a proud industrial powerhouse but now struggles with some of the highest crime rates in the country. It's a place where abandoned buildings stand like silent monuments to what the city once had, now, nothing more than reminders of collapse and economic decline. The crime rate in Camden is so high that it has almost become its own reputation. Violent crime is rampant, and property crime rates are no less concerning. According to the FBI's Uniform Crime Report, Camden is one of the most dangerous cities in the United States. Just walking down the street, it can feel like being in a war zone, not among historic sites with fascinating museum artifacts but in a real-life battle. The main attractions in Camden, the Adventure Aquarium and the USS New Jersey Battleship Museum, are both iconic, but there's a bitter irony here. The neighborhoods surrounding these attractions are not places where tourists should linger. The picturesque riverfront and the city's historic landmarks are overshadowed by the constant wail of sirens and a sense that something dangerous might be lurking around every corner. So here's the question: is there hope for a place like Camden? How can a city survive when its school system is collapsing and its main growth factor is its crime rate? Schools are barely hanging on, and many local residents struggle daily with lack of opportunity and safety. I recently spoke with a retired teacher who has lived in Camden all his life. He said, "I stayed because I thought the city could recover, but when the factories left, the hope left with them. Now all we have are abandoned houses, and all I can do is bow my head and hope tomorrow is safer." Number 6. East St. Louis, Illinois. If you think Camden is tough, East St. Louis will take you to a whole new level. This small town, located just across the Mississippi River from St. Louis, could be a world apart. The divide isn't only a river, it's the difference between a city trying to hold on and one that has given up. Once an industrial hub, East St. Louis is now a crumbling shell of its former self, ravaged by poverty, crime, and corruption that have eaten away at it for decades. Even something as ordinary as going to the local McDonald's feels like a gamble. In East St. Louis, you don't just have to worry about the food, but also your safety. In fact, some locals joke about having a special escape route for drivers who accidentally find themselves here. If you take the wrong bridge, you'll quickly turn around. One resident says, "You don't even need to enter the city. Just turn around right away and head back to St. Louis. Trust me, you'll want to do that." Imagine driving into a fast food restaurant and instead of focusing on your meal, you're scanning the streets for danger. East St. Louis is not only harsh but also dangerous. The crime rate here is consistently higher than the national average, and violent crime is common. The infrastructure is collapsing, with empty streets, vacant lots, and abandoned buildings scattered like a ghost town. Places that once thrived with factories now stand silent and empty. The wave of white flight in mid-20th century left behind a desperate and disillusioned population struggling daily. For those searching affordable homes, East St. Louis might seem appealing with average home prices around $36,000. But what do you really get? High crime, unstable economy, and constant danger. Number 5. Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan made headlines for its water crisis, but the problem isn't fully solved. Years after the news faded, residents still face unsafe drinking water daily. Unemployment is sky high. Many rely on low-wage, unstable jobs or struggle to make ends meet with no opportunity for progress. Poverty grips the town so tightly that even those wanting to leave have nowhere to go. The city's economy is hanging by a thread, and the foundation is crumbling. The real tragedy lies with Flint's younger generation. According to the CDC, lead poisoning from contaminated water causes long-term brain, kidney, and nervous system damage. Many children have been exposed to dangerous lead levels, and the problem continues daily, causing irreversible harm. Flint was once the pride of American automotive manufacturing, home to General Motors. But when factories closed and jobs moved overseas, the city collapsed into poverty and crime. The dream of prosperity now lies shattered, leaving rubble in the rearview mirror. It's like Detroit's tragic sibling, but even more heartbreaking. Number 4. Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana is hard to describe without words like abandoned, forgotten, or post-apocalyptic. Imagine driving through what was once a thriving industrial hub but now looks like a battlefield's remnants lost long ago. Abandoned factories lie on the streets like tombstones marking a once great economy. Decaying houses scatter everywhere, and the stillness of night is broken only by sounds of wildlife roaming the empty streets. No hustle or bustle, only eerie quiet. The decline of Gary is clear. Steel mills that once powered the city's economy are gone, along with the workers. More than half the population left over past decades, dropping from 180,000 at its peak to just over 75,000. Crime rates are high. The job market is almost non-existent. Schools are struggling, and residents face overwhelming daily challenges. The city itself seems to have given up. Streetlights are out, leaving streets dark and unwelcoming. Gary is a place where hope is hard to find and even harder to hold on to. For those seeking affordable living, Gary might seem appealing. After all, the average home price is $81,000, a fraction of other regions. But what happens when your new home is surrounded by crumbling buildings with little hope for real economic change? Have you ever been to Gary? Share your story in the comments. Number 3. Stockton, California. When you think of California, you picture beautiful beaches, expensive homes, and wealthy cities. But Stockton tells a different story. While the coast and big cities shine, Stockton shows the darker side of the Golden State. It's a town where the dream of opportunity is clouded by economic hardship and struggle. Once prosperous, Stockton's economy has crumbled. It filed for bankruptcy and hasn't improved much since. The decline is visible in broken windows, empty storefronts, and few people trying to make things work. Worse, Stockton struggles with poverty, unemployment, and gang violence comparable to larger cities nationwide. According to the FBI, gang violence is persistent here. Stockton's crime rate is 65% higher than California's average and 81.5% higher than the national average. It's notorious as one of America's most dangerous cities. The Diaz brothers, UFC fighters from Stockton, are tough and fought hard to rise. They say you have to be really tough to get out of Stockton. But is this life what you want in your golden years? Number 2. Atlantic City, New Jersey. Atlantic City was once the jewel of East Coast resorts, famous for flashy casinos, bright neon lights, and a bustling boardwalk. It was a top destination for those seeking gambling thrills, live shows, and beach fun. But today, especially off-season, it's a ghost town. Empty boardwalks and ocean breezes cut through deserted streets. Neon lights flicker weakly on old storefronts. It's like stepping into a time capsule of faded glory, holding memories of its past but unable to regain its magic. Winter is eerie. Crowds vanish, streets fall silent except for seagulls, homeless people, and occasional strange sights. Walking the boardwalk in off-season feels like a deserted high school in midwinter. No students, empty lockers, cold hallways. The crashing waves are drowned out by emptiness and biting cold winds. The golden days of gambling boom are gone. Casinos remain but are sandwiched between crumbling neighborhoods and shady characters. The economy has stagnated, foreclosures are rampant. Data shows Atlantic City has one of the highest foreclosure rates in the country. Home deals come with warnings. It's tempting to buy a home near the beach, but what's the point when the place feels abandoned, unsafe, and the community deteriorates? Number 1. Monroe, Louisiana. Monroe, Louisiana is a place where the weather feels like a wall slamming into you. It's not just heat, it's humidity, like a thick wet blanket you could chew. When you step outside, your skin immediately sticks, and sweat forms before 10 steps. Mosquitoes swarm like hunters. Enjoying outdoors is nearly impossible without insect repellent. Monroe might look like an affordable escape, but the weather is an extra tax you pay just to survive. The temperature, humidity, and insects aren't the worst things making Monroe harsh. Poverty spreads through every street and home. Unemployment is high. The economy has barely improved for decades. Infrastructure is stuck in the 1970s, with crumbling roads and outdated buildings, a reflection of years of neglect. Many residents struggle to survive due to limited health care and job opportunities. Monroe's reliance on old industries has caused it to fall behind as the world moves on. Years ago, I mentioned how the area had high rates of people fishing for dinner, not from choice but necessity. People adapt in basic ways just to feed their families. It's survival, not a lifestyle. Cultural attractions? If you want charming or cozy places, Monroe isn't for you. Sure, it's home to the famous Duck Commander from Duck Dynasty, but beyond that, tourists and residents have little to enjoy. Monroe feels like a place you pass through, wishing you were elsewhere. If you found today's video interesting, please like and subscribe. Your support is very important. Check out the next video on your screen. You're sure to love it. Leave your thoughts in the comments and tell us which city you want explored next. Thank you for watching, and see you soon on this journey.